year and then 250K in 6 months. So here's what I learned. So the premise of today's session is obviously in last year in 2020, my business generated $250,000 in revenue. I think when all was said and done with like the actual auditing and reporting and everything, it was like 241 and some change. But I claimed $250,000 and I'm still claiming it because that's what allowed me to say, okay, I'm ready to go to the next level, right? I didn't want to feel like, okay, well, I'm not done with this level now. I have to like, no, okay, good. $250,000 done, easy. Like now we're ready for the next level. And so for 2021, I set a really big goal for this year. And in the first 6 months, 100% smashed the previous year revenue and on track to double. I set a much bigger goal, but that's part of what I'm going to be sharing today. Okay. Talking about, talking about what I learned in the process. All right. Thank you for joining from Mexico. Glad to have you here. Hello, Nubia. Yeah. Everyone's always like, and the reason why I share this is like, I feel some type of way sometimes when I share my personal numbers and personal results. And the reason is that I teach on how to earn money, right? So I never want it to be like my husband calls it a self-licking ice cream cone, even though I have no idea like how that even would happen, but like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like I teach you how to make money and therefore I make money. And then I can like say, I made this much money. And so you should, buy this for me. And so like, that's why I always get a little, I just feel some type of way when I share numbers. However, I know at the same time that I'm not just providing courses or lessons or trainings on how to make money. I go much deeper beyond that. I actually teach marketing, right? So I teach the marketing, and I teach the energy and manifestation side of it as well. I know that what I do is valuable. I know that I'm 100% absolutely helping people. So, and I also know that when I wanted to learn how to do this, I couldn't find someone being clear and transparent about it. Like they would talk about it, but then they never really explain like, how did you actually get there? And if you have been following me for any amount of time, for those of you who have been here, you know that as I share exactly what's behind the scenes. So for example, even in the text message that I sent out yesterday for that training that was all about how I made 38,000 from a $27 product in 4 months from a $27 product. Inside of that training, I specifically talk about the expenses. I laid out, like the advertising that I do. And so, a lot of times people are sharing these numbers, but they're not sharing what's behind that. So I never want to do that. I always want to be clear, plain, and transparent with you guys, because my goal is not to brag or like share what I've done so that I can sell more. It really is to like help that former version of me who's like, okay, well, how did you do it? Okay. So I'm going to just start off just by keeping it really simple. The way that I got to 6 figures the very first time was figuring out who my ideal client was and what I'm offering them. And that's really as simple as I can put it. And that process of like trying a bunch of things to get me there that's essentially was the process. The process was like, let's just figure out what is actually working, pay attention to what's working, and get there. The process for getting to 250K was looking at, okay, what's actually working, and let's do more of that, but just go bigger with it. And the process this year of getting to, essentially doubling the business in a year is figuring out, not only because I already know what's working, but getting a lot clearer on what do I want to do? What do I want to be known for? And what is truly my message? And once I got a lot deeper into my message and what I want to be known for, that's what allowed me to start scaling up. From a practical standpoint, yes, I spent some more money on ads, but my ad budget is still not huge relative to what I'm making each month. Okay. So that's like I guess that's like the high level kind of practical of it. And then I'm going to break down a lot more when I talk about what I learned. So let me grab my notes. Yep, exactly. Yeah. So sharing the gross as well as the expenses, because like when people share the numbers, it's like, okay, that's great. Those are, those are gross revenue numbers. And just so you know, like I am structured as an S corp, so I do pay myself a salary. My salary is $70,000 a year from my business. I've never shared that before, but I'm sharing that right now. So that's considered an expense for the business. So if you make 250K and you pay the shareholder 70K, that's considered an expense. Okay. Um, and so that brings the profit number down. So that's that. All right. Okay, great. All righty. Okay. So Um, I do have some questions. So I got some questions via email. So I do want to go ahead and answer those. At any point in time, if I get a question from one of you guys, or someone who's like sends me a message on Instagram or something like that, the easiest way for me to answer those is just to do it on the live stream. So we're at the 13-minute mark. We're going to say 14 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and answer this question, which is how do I charge my client after the discovery call? I'm doing one-on-one, but I'm not sure how to properly bill. I can send an invoice, but is that the way to do it? The way that I charge clients is upfront, and that is through a shopping cart payment processor. If you're doing the discovery call, the free call, and then you're like, okay, now it's time to pay to get the rest of your calls, you can send them to your shopping cart. So I use ThriveCart. Very, very easy to use. And second question was, I have a question about scheduling times for coaching programs. How do you agree on a set time? You, as the coach, you're going to decide what times you want to be available, and then you give them a link to your calendar. So that's the way that I do it. I normally do coaching calls on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then I will provide a link to my calendar according to the times that I want to work, and that's how people schedule calls. Okay, had a little New York come out for just a second. I was born in Brooklyn, for those of you are not aware. So sometimes when I talk really fast, some of those vowels get they get a little New York in them. Good. So Marcel, All right. So I learned 4 main things. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna be sharing. What I learned. First thing that I learned is that you have to protect your vision. Okay. You have to protect your vision. And so when I share each of these, I'll kind of go into the story and we'll dig a little bit deeper into, obviously what it means. But there are 4 main things that I learned from, reaching this goal, and that is that you have to protect your vision. And my vision at the very start of the year was, I had a vision for like, what did I want my business to look like? How do I want to, wake up every day? Like, what do I want to do on those days that I wake up? What do I want my schedule to look like? What do I want the business to look like, and like the types of clients that I serve, like all of those things. And what you see for your vision might not necessarily be what your friends and family can see, the people who are close to you. And one of the ways that I do that with, actually just having my vision, like laying my vision out, is just like writing, like literally writing it out. And I do a lot of scripting when it comes to things that I want to bring into the here and now. I will literally write out, this is what I see, this is what's happening. And so I've read these a couple of times on client calls. I think I've read it like 1 or 2 times on client calls, but I want to read you guys something that I wrote. I think I wrote it last year. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. So this is an example of how I script and how I write out my vision of what I see. So I'm just reading from my journal here. I wrote, I just had my first 50K cash month. I can't believe it all felt so easy. Actually, I can. And it all came as a result of me finally choosing to be the star. That means having my support team to help me so I can fully show up as the star. My social media is covered. I engage regularly and hop in when it feels good to. My emails are going out on a regular basis and they match whatever promotion we're having at the time. I have a vlog professionally recorded, edited, and released once per week. Everything is flowing together. I'm so excited to work with these 8 new clients over the next 12 months. I also love the fact that I didn't have to do a crap ton of sales calls. Most of them were following the challenge and were already sold on working with me. They just wanted to know the investment. Some paid in full, others chose the payment plan. But the 50K cash came in from multiple sources. I still have courses selling on autopilot. People are still finding me on YouTube, and my ads team is amazing. Not only did they get my ads up and running quickly, but they've been optimizing them and have increased the ROI to consistent 3-to-1 or better. Life is good, but it never had to be hard. So this page that I wrote in here is always written in present tense. So when I write my journal entries, the way that I do it is, when I'm scripting something that I would like to bring into the here and now, I always write in present tense. And with my personal journal entries, I don't put dates on them because I don't believe that, like, I don't want to be bound by time of saying like, oh, this happened here or there. But the reason that I kind of know when I wrote this is when I got the journal and how long I've had it. And it's at the start of the journal, which was around mid 2020. And so at that point, I had not had a 50K cash month. and also the sentence in here where I say I have a vlog professionally recorded, edited, and released once per week. That was something that I wanted to bring into the here and now. And it's still something that I desire, but the timeline has just been shifted just a little bit. And so this is how I do my scripting. This is how I script out. Here's what I want. And so what I say by protect your vision is, if I were to say that out loud to someone, or say like, yeah, like I'm so happy and thankful that I've had a $50,000 a month. I'm so happy and thankful that I received $50,000, in my hands or whatever. A lot of people don't really understand that process of speaking in present tense, the things that you desire to come about, that you see in your mind's eye, right? They don't understand it. And often their own prejudices or their own history or their paradigm, like what they're coming from, can influence your energy or your emotions around it and make it just that much more muddy, where this is a very clear signal, right? This, what I'm writing in here and I wrote down, is a very clear signal. It's like, this is what I desire, this is what I want, and this is what it is. It's a very clear signal of, this is it. However, if I were to say it out and speak it out and talk about it to somebody, and then that person were like, well, you said that you're going to have, 8 clients, working with 8 clients over the next 12 months. Like right now, like you've only got, on average, only 2 or 3 people sign up for your programs, right? Like they would bring out those doubts that you honestly have in the back of your mind as well, but they're just verbalizing them. And it makes it a lot more difficult for you to stick to this vision. And my funny thing about this is, like, all of this has come true with the exception of the vlog professionally recorded. Like I said, I kind of put that on the hold, but I did end up having a $50,000 cash month. And I did end up working with, it was actually more than 8 clients who signed up for the Path to 6 Figures at the end of the year, coming into this year. And we've been working together now. We're at month 10 now of working together. Some clients signed up in May, so we'll still, kind of keep moving through to May. But everything that I wrote down and everything that I wrote was my vision. And I protected my vision by creating a clear signal, by writing it out. And so that's one of the very first things that I will say that I learned, through this process, is like, all right, I really want to, quote unquote, double my income, or 4X. What I wanted to do was, go, 4 or 5 times what the previous income was. And so I had to, write out that vision and protect that vision. Okay. Okay, good. I'm just pulling up some of these comments on the side. Nancy said, I have heard you do this. I have made an October challenge to journal each morning in the present tense of my goals this month. Love it. And I'm about to give you the tool that you need in order to do that. So stand by, okay? Hi, Gina. Thanks for joining me. Glad to have you here. Yes. Good, good, good. Okay. So that's the very first one, is to protect your vision. Second thing that I learned is that I had to decide to do whatever it takes, right? So there are times in your business where things are going to get rough. like you may get to a point where like cash flow is not really what it's supposed to be, where like you know, that you try something new and it just flops. I remember there was one point in time where, you know, I had stopped paying attention to my ads. I had gotten my ads up to, I was spending about $550 per day on ads. And the way that I do ads, I run them all through Facebook, and it's essentially a break even ad. So it's designed to spend 500, make 500. And then now I have email list, text message list, and I have, you know, live streams and different things that I do in order to really continue creating that value on the back end. And I remember there was a point in time where like I wasn't really paying attention to the ads, and they went from like 1 to 1 to down to like 0.4 and 0.5, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this, you know, and Facebook gets paid whether they help you make money or not. So it's like they kept hitting my account with this like 900 is the max that they'll allow. How do I say that? You can tell Facebook, don't charge me until I spend this much, and $900 is that max. So you can say, okay, don't charge me until I've spent $900 on Facebook ads, and there's no going beyond that. So you can also set it to where you say, you know, charge me every time I spend $25, charge me every time I spend up to $50, et cetera, et cetera. So like they were hitting my account like every other day. It was like 900, 900, 900. And I was like, this is getting ridiculous. And I started to really doubt like what was, you know, what I was even doing. Like, am I even doing the right thing? Like, does this even work? Like what's going to happen? And I think for like a month, it's like a month or two, I just turned everything off. I was like, screw it all. I quit. I'm so done with this. Like, I'm over it, like whatever. Right. And I had to get to the point where, you know, I fell back into what I know to be true, which is that I am successful and I'm going to be successful. And because I'm a high achiever and I continue achieving higher and higher and higher, all I had to do was to bring my belief and confidence level in myself up to this new level. And so I said, okay, great. Well, I'm just going to decide to do whatever it takes. And for me at that point, what that meant was, all right, let's start looking at some other ways to monetize, to provide value, to you know, to essentially make this work so that you're not like getting frustrated and wanting to just kind of quit everything. Okay. And, you know, this goes for whether you are, you know, just getting started or whether you have already hit like the 6-figure mark, which I would say like usually the 6-figure mark is kind of like that success marker, because once again, like it's actually much more involved and intensive to get to 6 figures than it is to go beyond that. Because as soon as you get to 6 figures, all you're doing now is more of what works. But when you getting to 6 figures is figuring out what actually works, right? And so that process of getting there, like even when you're getting there, whether you're just getting started or whether you've already hit the 6-figure mark, you have to decide to do whatever it takes at every level, right? And that's what I say in that, you know, in that quote, which I was thinking about the other day, and I was like, how did I even come up with this quote? Because this is not something I got from anybody else. Where your dreams deserve your decision and you deserve to achieve your dreams, but only if you decide to do whatever it takes to get them. It's that process of doing whatever it takes to get them, right? And so my next thought was, well, okay, great. Like if Facebook goes away tomorrow, you know, is this something that I still want to do? And that is when I realized that I wasn't really speaking my full true message of what I knew I needed to talk about. Like I was talking about it here and there, but I wasn't really getting it out there fully. And so for those of you who have been here, you know, this entire year, every single Saturday, you know that my intro has changed slightly. And that intro used to be, you know, we teach coaches how to, you know, create and build their coaching programs. And, you know, I quit my job on Friday the 13th, and I actually said a little bit of it today. And then there was a little bit of, I'm a stubborn believer in manifestation and why, right? And then, you know, when I got to that point where I was like, I just want to throw the whole thing out the window, I realized like, oh, it's because I'm not being clear on my message and really delivering my message and protecting my message. The same way you have to protect your vision, you also have to protect your message as well. And that meant me deciding to do whatever it took, meaning I had to change some things, right? I had to really speak into what I wanted to bring out there. And that is when I started writing my, should I turn it around? I'm excited about it. But that's when I started writing this journal slash planner, is when I got to the point where I was like there's no reason for me to only say I talk about marketing, and there's no reason to try to like mesh it together like, oh, I do marketing and manifestation. Like, what I talk about and what my message is really sharing with you that you can have whatever you want, right? You can create your own version of a lavish life. You deserve to achieve your dreams. You deserve it all, but only if you decide to do whatever it takes. And so I started pulling out my message, and I was reading this book. So when I got the proof, which it came just in time because I wanted to share it on the live stream, I was reading the proof the other day to my husband, and because I was like, he was like, okay, read it to me. I was like, okay. So this is like my first time reading it, and I started crying. Like, I started tearing up, and I was trying not to like, make it come through. And he was like, are you crying? And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, you know why? Because everything that I talk about is in here. And the fact that I'm telling people all the time, like, you can create your life, you can create your life. And I literally started like trying to find a job and figure out, should I pay my cell phone bill or should I pay my car note? Because if I don't pay my cell phone bill, then I was trying applying for jobs. If I don't pay my cell phone bill, I can't get phone calls from jobs. But if I don't pay my car note, they're going to repossess my car. Like, I literally had the banker, it was a local bank here in Georgia. I literally had the banker drive to my parents' house, because I didn't have my own place. I was broke. Drive to my parents' house, knocked on the door. Nobody answered. He wrote a handwritten note. And I'm so upset that Periscope went away, because I did this whole thing on Periscope and I cannot find the video now. And I also can't find the note. He wrote a handwritten note, like a letter, and pinned it to the door and was like, LaTisha, we've been looking for you. You need to pay your car loan. Let's talk about, some things you can, how we can work this out. I did eventually end up, paying the loan. They didn't come and take the car, but, I've been there. So I understand when I get responses from people and they're like, hey, like, I don't have the money right now to invest. Like, I get it. I completely understand, because I've been there. And that's the reason why I turn around and teach. And so I will say to you, to anyone who is like listening to this and you're like, I don't know what to do, my answer to you is, don't stop being a student. You have, like, there's people who are out there giving away a lot of free information, me included. Like, I've got lots and lots of, free trainings and live streams and downloads. And yeah, some of them talk about upgrading to the next thing. And when you can do that, do that. But there's a lot of good stuff, even in the free content. And so that's what I would say to the LaTisha from several years ago. But that is the reason why when I started writing this out, I started crying, or I started reading this out. I started crying because I was like, everything that I said I was going to set out to do and that I said I was going to do, I did it. And it was because I protected my vision and I decided to. Good. All right. So let me go to the last two things that I learned. Number 3, set scary goals. So a very scary goal for me was this year. I was like, I want to make 1.2 million. And if you go back to my YouTube videos, one of the videos that was released at the start of the year was me. I recorded at the end of last year, and I was like, I want to make 1.2 million. When I got to 100K, I was reaching for 300. When I got to 250, I was reaching for 500. And when I got to what this year looks like, it's going to be about 500. I've been reaching for 1.2. So what I learned and what I'm realizing is like, okay, if whatever I reach for, I usually hit about halfway there, I just need to go bigger. So if my goal is really 1.2, that means I need to reach for 5 million, right? And the reason that I say that is because, like, it's the scary goal, but when you create that scary goal, you move differently. So 1.2 felt a little scary to jump from 250 in a year to 1.2 million, but it caused me to move differently. But I don't feel like it really gave me that push that I really needed. So I really need to set, like, okay, the goal is not just 100K per month. The goal is like let's hit 300, 400, right? 500 a month, right? There's nothing that says that I can't do that. The only thing is, am I allowing it in or am I resisting it? That's it. Because once you set a goal and once it's something that you've decided that you want, right? You've dreamed it, you decided it. The only thing is taking aligned action. And the next question is like, what's the aligned action? That's it. And am I allowing it in or am I resisting it? Exactly. Aim for the moon and land in the stars. I think so. This, you have to bear with me. This is my very first time setting up a physical product inside of ThriveCart. I think I have to specifically say I have to check Canada. So let me check that, because yes, I can ship to the US and Canada. So let me verify and double check that, and I will I'll send you a note. Okay. But thank you for catching that. Okay, good. Set scary goals. So that's the third thing that I learned. And then fourth thing that I learned is track your progress every single day. So once again, the whole reason that I even knew how to lay out the daily planner and that money manifestation thing was that I was literally tracking my progress every single day. And it's not always fun to see that this is where you want to be, but this is where you are right now, right? Like you have this goal that you're reaching to, and it's sometimes it feels like every time I write down, this is where I am, it makes where I want to go feel that much further away. But if you focus only on where you are in terms of I'm not there yet, then you're really impeding the process of bringing into your life what you want to bring, right? That process of manifestation. So instead of looking at where you are as, gosh, I'm so far away, you have to view it as I'm one step closer, right? I'm one step closer. Even if your finances take a hit and you're doing a money thing, even if your finances take a hit, doesn't matter. You're still moving forward. Like sometimes I would look at it and like the negative, it's like so bad. I think about it. It's like and I can laugh about it now because I'm past it, but I was also laughing about it while I was in it. And that's my point. My point is that you have to, like, whatever emotion and whatever reality you want to feel once you're done, if you can feel that while you're in it, it'll help you get there that much faster. So sometimes the negative number would be like negative one day, and then like the next day would be like more negative. And I'm like, you're going in the wrong direction. No, don't do that. But I still would write it down, because when you're paying attention to something, I've heard the statement said like what you measure, what gets measured gets managed, or something like that, or what you pay attention to grows. And I will say that there's always like a little bit of truth and a little bit of balance in statements like those. And so my truth in that statement was, when you pay attention to it, you'll also pay attention to the actions that are causing the negative things, and you'll also pay attention to the actions that are causing the positive things. So I started paying attention to some of the actions that I was taking that had, gotten me to that point. And I was like, oh, okay, so let me just stop doing this, right? But it wasn't until I was looking at that number every single day that I made a decision like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Like, I'm not going to keep putting off paying off my student loans because I'm like, oh, I have a business and I'm making good money. No, because it's causing you to have a negative net worth, and that's not what you want. So pay it off. Like, stop just looking at it and saying, well, I can pay it off whenever I want. No, just like get rid of it. And I did. I got rid of it in like, it was crazy. Like a month and a half, I paid off like $40,000 of credit card debt. I'm not student loan debt. And it was so nice to have that letter. It's in the closet. I'm going to frame it. It came from Nelnet that was like, congratulations, your loans are fully paid off. I was like, yes. And it's like that feeling, I wanted that feeling even at the start. And because I was looking at those numbers and paying attention to it, it really, basically, it helped me kind of self-reflect to say, okay, like this is a little ridiculous. Like, there's a reason that you're doing this, and here's the reason. And that's why I have that's why I kind of have the daily number, the daily planner there too. So you can kind of go back through it. Good sayings, good sayings. Okay, so let me make sure we covered everything. Yep, track your progress every day. So those are the 4 things that I learned. Number 1, protect your vision. 2, decide to do whatever it takes. 3, set scary goals. 4, track your progress each day. And I did that in various journals before creating my own, which is the Dream, Decide, Do Manifestation Goal Planner. Um, and like I said, I never want to make it seem like, I just got here overnight. Like, this was not an overnight process by any means. It was a day in, day out, take this step, take the next step, take the next step, take the next step. And once again, I have always taught in the areas of, I've, I've always learned and then turned around and taught. And so, if anybody says like, oh, well, you're the only reason you're making money is because you're teaching people how to make money. I've never really been teaching people how to make money. What I've been doing is teaching people how to get the most out of what they have from a marketing standpoint. And so the title of this is not intended to be like, I've made this much, therefore you should buy, this thing. The goal from this, and I feel like maybe my insecurity is showing. But like, honestly, like, the goal from this is to say, like, it is all possible. It's all possible no matter what you're doing, no matter what you are choosing to do. The key is, once you dream it and you decide that you're going to do whatever it takes, that you take that aligned action. And that's truly what I believe.